Hi everybody, welcome back to Mando Lessons. My name's Baron Collins Hill, and today we're talking about need-to-know chords. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to tell you right up front, this is not a miracle cure-all. This is not going to teach you every major and minor chord and every seventh and jazz chord there is in one 5-minute video. This is a video more conceptual about developing for yourself through practice and exposure to the kind of music that you're playing. You want to be able to have a go-to chord for every kind of chord you're likely to encounter when you're out playing music with other people. If you've been playing music with other people for a while, I'm sure you've had the experience where someone says, "Hey, let's play this, it's in the key of G." It goes G. And you're thinking, great, C, awesome, got it, D. Alright, I've got this down fine, and back to G. And then somebody goes B. Whoa, and you're like, whoa, I was not expecting that. C, okay, where are we going here? D, then back to G. Maybe that B major chord just kind of came out of nowhere. It's a chord that happens sometimes in bluegrass songs like Old Home Place. You'll find that sort of relationship of chord to the root in a couple songs, and it always threw me off guard. And I think the thing that really helped me most as I was going out and playing bluegrass and folk music with other people was to just have something really automatic underneath my fingers that would pop out if somebody said, play a B chord. And that's what I want you to develop in your own playing. You know, if someone wakes you up from a cold sleep in the middle of the night, puts a mandolin in your hand and says, give me a B chord, what are you going to do? For me, it might be something like this bar shape. For you, it might be a chop shape, or it could be some kind of more open shape. It doesn't really matter what the chord is, it just matters that you've got one, so that when they show up when you're not expecting them, you've got something to play. Now on mandolessons.com, my website, and here on YouTube, you can look up lessons that I've got. One is called Learn Every Major and Minor Chord, where I talk about these bar chord shapes, or maybe you're a bluegrasser and you're used to these more kind of bluegrass chop shapes. Anything is good. This is not a qualitative assessment of the chords. This is not finding the perfect inversion of the chord for that perfect moment in the song. That's an important practice to get into and really think about those kind of chord voicings, but that's not what this is about. This is about really developing that idea of unconscious movement of your hand. It's a combination of muscle memory and experience and probably a lot of being out of your comfort zone and getting chord names thrown at you where you're like, oh yeah, geez, how do I get there again? Through all of those experiences and practices, you're going to be able to develop a program for your own brain and your own fingers that's going to allow you to play any chord at any given time. I'll jump in and show you a couple of my sort of mindless chords, if you want to call them that, and but ultimately, it's whatever kind of music you play, whatever styles you like, whatever you like the sound of, that's going to be the thing for you. So as a quick example here, maybe let's think about we're playing in the key of G, then C, and then somebody says D, and back to G, and now B, okay. Now, that's a great example of maybe a chord that isn't in the same part of the fretboard. You know, I'm playing all these open shapes, but, you know, having a B chord under your fingers, and this is my sort of automatic B chord that has developed through the years of me being called to play a B chord and not having too much time to think about it. You know, having a B chord is better than having no B chord at all, or to have a B chord but you can't really quite get your fingers there in time because you haven't quite developed that muscle memory yet. So those are very different shapes, but they definitely will work together. You know, maybe you've got in the key of G, you're playing chop chords, C, D, then back to G. Are you going to do this chop chord for B, and then up one to C, back to G, D, G. Again, it's very contextual. You can think all day about, wow, what's the smoothest, what's the most convenient way, what's the prettiest sounding way to get between that G chord and the B chord. And that's a very worthwhile pursuit. It creates a lot of beautiful music. But it's not going to do you any good if you can't get there in rhythm and in time. So maybe I'll suggest that you build up some confidence with these, what I call bar chords. Again, you can find lessons on my website, mandolessons.com. I have a lesson called Learn Every Major and Minor Chord, where let's move to the key of A here for a little bit. An A chord, 2, 2, 4, 5, from low to high, G, D, A, E. That's a classic bar 4-string, or 8-string, I suppose. A major chord. And then like we go from G to C, we can go A, move these two fingers into the middle sets of strings. Don't play that E string. And you've got 2, 4, 5, and no E string. And you've got a D chord. So you can go A, D, and then up 2 from E, up 2 from D, you have an E chord, your 5 chord in the key of A. So that's what I think of as the bar shape. That's the shape that I've developed over time, over the years, as my unconscious shape, that if somebody calls out a chord, that's where my fingers go if I'm not expecting it and I don't have time to think about what the perfect voicing of the shape might be for the given musical situation. Now you can take that same shape and make it minor. A major, 2, 2, 4, 5. A minor, 2, 2, 3, 5. And you can move that to the middle, 2, 3, 5 for D minor. 4, 5, 7 is your E minor, A minor. So just with those two shapes, I kind of think of them as kind of the master shapes of A major and A minor, and then moving that around the fingerboard, you have every major and minor shape. You can do the same thing with dominant 7 chords. It doesn't really matter what the chord is. For me, the most important thing is having something reliable that I can throw my fingers down into at a moment's notice and get the right sound to come out. That's all I wanted to convey in today's lesson, and that's what I want you to do in your own practice. Again, I don't mind what kind of chord it is. I don't care if it's a chop chord, if it's a bar chord, if it's an open chord shape. I just want you to go through the kind of music you play, and it'll depend, you know? Maybe you only play Irish music, where you're never going to be called on to play a B major chord. But whatever kind of music you find yourself playing, figure out one version of the chord. It's helpful if it's something like those bar shapes where they're very movable around the fingerboard. That's a great opportunity, but it's not a necessity. All I care about is that you have a chord for any given chord that you're called on to play at any given time. And I want you to maybe you can make up flashcards if you want. Flip through them, play a chord. Flip to the next one, play a chord. It's all about developing an unconscious way of playing the instrument so that your brain can be open to the fast-paced change that is often found in social music. And then, as you get comfortable with those, then you can build out from there and say, ooh, I really like the sound of this particular A chord or this particular E chord. But first, you just gotta have one. That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. See you again soon. Bye-bye.